Okay, I'd like to call the Board of Aviation Commissioners virtual monthly meeting of January 13th, 2022 to order. Members present, myself, Kirk Hunter, Greg Poulin, T.Y. Okeson, and Jeff Bartlett are all present. We also have in the house Gene Simmons from the City Council, Jessica Ward, our airport manager, and Paul Schaefer, BFNS. Anybody else I miss? I don't think so. I think that's all we got. Anyway, we have a quorum. Okay, reading of the minutes. Everybody get a chance to read the December 9th, 2021 minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
Make a motion to accept.
Do I get a second?
I second it, Jeff Bartlett.
All in favor?
Mr. Bartlett,
Aye.
Mr. Hunter,
Aye.
Mr. Okeson, Mr. Poulin,
Aye.
are you on here, TY?
It's showing his, no, let's see.
Aye.
Oh, yay. Okay, so 4 in favor, none opposed, motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is election of officers.
I'd like to make a motion, we keep the officers the same that we had last year. We only had about 5 meetings last year and 6 the prior year. Less than 12 in 2 years that we've had, so I'd like to make a motion, we just maintain the present officers.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye, Jeff Bartlett.
Mr. Bartlett,
Aye.
Mr. Hunter,
Aye.
Mr. Okeson,
No.
Mr. Poulin.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. 3 in favor, 1 opposed.
Okay, financials. Jessica, please.
Right. Account balances. I sent you guys over the beginning balances report. They were emailed to you. We have only 2 claims for this month. One was the Swift fuel load we received, and one for our AvPOS fuel sales processing software annual fee. There's also claims that were submitted before the end of the year as well for approval after our December 9th meeting. So those are on the claims docket as well. I have added our AIP 27 local grant match at the bottom of the page, as you can see. And that is going to be that's just the local match that was on the pre-application that we sent out that was approved last month for $10,081.50. And then also I put our local match for the new bipartisan infrastructure laws. We're supposed to get $159,000 for that once every 5 years. And so that local match is $7,950. We will need to go before the council to have them approve us being able to use these local matches for these grants. So I've already talked to the controller's office, and we're hoping to have something together before the February meeting for the council. And that's all for account balances.
How about fuel cells?
Fuel sales, overall, we sold 724.6 gallons of 100 low lead, 1,217.2 gallons of Jet A, and 73.5 gallons of Swift fuel in December. We did end up finishing 2021 with a 28% fuel increase overall year to date compared to 2020. So that's really great. We haven't had a 28% in 14 years. So our self-service 100 low lead price is $4.41 per gallon. Full service 100 low lead is $4.56. Our Jet A right now is $3.35, but we did just get a new load of Jet A on Tuesday. So I'm not sure what that price is going to change to. And that's for both self and full service. And then our self-service UL 94 is $4.43 per gallon. And the price stayed the same for us for this load. So that price will stay the same as well.
Something, the UL 94 used to be quite a bit more than self-service 100 low lead. Now they're almost the same. That's good. But did I miss that somehow? I thought it was usually significantly higher on the UL 94, but it's
It
nice
just-
to see. What's
It
that?
just depends on what the price of 100 low lead comes in at, because we can't really adjust prices too much on, in 100 low lead, it has swung so much with like lows and highs on costs, especially over COVID and everything for the last 2 years. So, I mean, for the last at least 3, 4, 5 months, it's been pretty much the same, where 100 low lead is 456 for self-service, or I mean, 441 for self-service, and UL 94 is 443. But yeah, there are times UL 94 is pretty much stayed the same for us. So whenever 100 low lead swings, that makes UL 94 a little higher, a little lower, depending on the swing.
Yeah, well, it's great the way it is. I appreciate that. Thank you, Jessica.
Yeah.
Okay, Paul, I'm sorry, Jessica, snow removal.
All right, so all of our snow removal equipment is in working order. We have used the plows, the brush, and the blower for the last couple of snow events that we've had, and we've had no issues. The new replacement bristles that we purchased for the broom last year were changed in-house at the end of last month, so those are nice and fresh for the snow season. Our replacement cutting edge, the wing blades, T-bars, and the shoes for the tractor plow should be here next week, so those will get changed over when those need to. We did have a small hydraulic fluid leak on the Chevy plow, but that was also repaired in-house here, so everything's running really well. We have no issues with any equipment. We're ready to go.
How long do those brushes last, Jessica?
It depends on how much we have to brush, depending on how heavy or light snow.
Yeah.
But usually they last either 1 year or sometimes we can get 2 years out of it.
Okay, thank you.
Rental hanger repair. This past weekend, Thor had an issue closing the overhead door on that rental hanger. So I had to call TriStar out and Rudy out after hours, and they were able to get the door closed in the meantime while they waited for the replacement door button panel, because the door button panel that was there was corroded, and that was the issue. So TriStar came out and they replaced the panel on Monday with no issues. And then I hired Pivotal Door to come out yesterday and install like rubber weather stripping on the bottom of that overhead door and on the side panels of the door. If you remember, you could clearly see light, and heat was getting out and everything through there. So they just came out. The installation went well. The hanger is sealed up tight. City IT came out to run the fiber from our terminal building to the hangar, and they're out back today right now to they pulled the fiber out of the box. And all they need to do is power it on, and then Thor's going to have Wi-Fi internet in the hangar as well. And they'll probably be able to get maybe the hangar behind him, Bill Isley will be able to get it from there. But they have to wait for the ground to freeze really well to bring a bucket truck out behind the hangar in order to install the big antenna on top of the hangar. And that's what's going to give the Wi-Fi signal to be stronger down there by the hangar section. Because I know there's some hangar tenants that want ring doorbells on or so they're kind of waiting for Wi-Fi as well. So this way, as soon as the ground hardens up and they'll be able to use the bucket truck out there, we'll have the antenna on for that. But until then, at least there's internet in the hangar for flight instruction, and then a couple of attendants around there will have a pretty decent signal as well. And then Flight Saga update. Thor has paid the hangar rent for January and has his in the hangar already to use for flight instruction. He has all the information he needs to switch NIPSCO into his own name starting this month. He requested putting signage on the fence by the road next to the skydive sign to advertise the flight school, which I told him would be great. He's requesting to put a sign or a banner on the hangar itself as well. I told him that I'd need to run it past the board first, and I would let him know what you think about that. I have asked for the measurements, of the signage that he was looking at, and to kind of give me a picture of what the sign will be like on the fence, before he installs it and everything. So I'm still waiting on that. But what are your guys' feelings on him? Do you mind him installing a banner or a sign on the rental hangar advertising the flight school, saying that that's where it is?
Well, I don't. Do we have?
I think it's a good idea. My only question right offhand is, he's going to be screwing into the building. So if he ever takes it off, he's going to have to, repair whatever holes he puts in there and things like that. That's the only thing I can think of, but I think it's a great idea. We got to get the word out. And I don't know if somebody's going to, it'd be nice that if somebody is coming to the flight school, they can identify the hangar
Correct.
on the first try, rather than going knocking on doors. But yeah, so I think it's a great idea. Now, could he just put it on a freestanding, or would that be a problem as far as clearances for wings and everything? If he had put a couple of 4x4 posts and put it on that, that way he wouldn't be putting it into the building.
Yeah, sure. Ask him that if it's an actual sign, but I mean, if it's just a banner, that wouldn't probably work. But for a sign, for sure. Yeah, I think about that.
Yeah, I mean, is a banner? I don't know. Maybe it's a cost issue, but I mean, a banner is going to. Chances are it's going to blow off of there in a good wind or something. I don't know.
If he can secure a banner, that's great. Or if he wants a structure, if he can do like 2 posts, wooden posts that look nice, I mean, that's great too. But yeah, I think anything that advertises the flight school, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like the idea of a freestanding one that's, then, you're not touching the building on the outside and making holes in it. And then you can put a nice sign on it. So, I mean, it's because there again, if it's in a freestanding, and then if after a year he decides to move it, move someplace else, he can pull it up and take it with him, reinstall it wherever he's going. So anyway, yeah. Present whatever he wants, and I don't see any problem with it myself. So.
Is he also going to advertise in front of the airport like the skydivers?
Yes.
Yeah, that skydiver sign at the end of the runway is pretty well faded out. Like there's nothing left in it and needs to be replaced.
He's got that this year.
Yeah.
He tried last year just going because it was really hard to like get it, to get it done. So he was just like using kind of like paint and like touching up like the words and stuff last year, which worked for last year just fine. But I mean, he knew that wasn't a permanent solution, that it was just gonna, kind of bide some time until this year. But he is planning on replacing that. He already told me that. Let's see what else I have to say about this. So, also he did, and so as soon as I get the measurements, of the signage that he wants, and I asked just for like an image of it, so we kind of know what it's going to look like, I'll send that out to you guys so you can see on email like what he's talking about and what sizes and stuff for your information and everything. So also he did request to put a key box on the door so that instructors, students and club members could access the hangar, which I of course approved. The key box doesn't interfere with access to the hangar or anything. It just provides a secure to a key to open the door so other people can open the door as well. He is planning to start students here by the end of the month, early February. He is going to be using the next couple of weeks to get the scheduling system and his onboarding training of everyone done, to make sure that they comply with TSA and other requirements. And lastly, he has a flight simulator scheduled to be delivered next week. He did ask if it could be here in the terminal building instead of in the hangar. He's hoping that it's going to get more use in here. If people come out, people can see it. They'll get interested in it, ask about it and stuff. So I told him that we specifically put a flight instruction room in this hangar for that reason. And that, I would love to have it in here. I do have an email out to Bill Nelson, though, asking if he feels that we need some sort of like agreement for like the simulator storage. That's like a $35,000 piece of equipment to be kept in the terminal building, just for like liability reasons. And so I'm sure I'll be able to work that out with like Thor and Bill. But I don't want, the airport to be held liable if there's like any damage to it or anything like that, since it's, here in the building. So we did measure to make sure that it would fit. It will fit in the flight instruction room. He's planning on having an online booking system in place to book the time on the simulator, and he's going to require anyone that uses it first to be checked out with a flight instructor before they're able to book time with it alone. And so anything on the simulator, you guys?
Well,
anything?
TY had a simulator 6 years ago, did you not, TY? TY, are you there?
A couple of years ago, not 6 years ago, like 2, 3 years ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and what sort of agreement, did you have an agreement with the airport at that time, TY?
We were using that for the Eagles, young Eagles.
Well, I mean, was
Yeah,
there
it was here in the terminal though. He didn't have it, like Thor wants to leave the simulator built and keep it here so that instead of like being down in his hangar, so it's going to be permanently in our terminal building. TY would just come and bring the simulator, and also Ron Bober had one that he would come and bring out, but that was just for like an event and then he would leave with it.
Oh, okay.
So this is like going to be here because I was talking to Thor and I told him, I'm like, we do have cameras like at all the doors. We have the rings at all the doors. So we'll be able to see somebody walking in and out with lots of equipment. But I mean, I told him that this building is not staffed, you know, all the time when when we're open, because
Right.
we're out mowing, we're out plowing, you know, we're fueling airplanes. And so anybody can just like walk in the building, you know what I mean?
So
I
I've got a suggestion. I've got a suggestion. I think that this gentleman is looking for a secure way to maintain his simulator. But it is a contradiction to think that, you know, as an owner of a flight school, you want to locate a simulator in a building that is not accessible to students, especially in the evening time when the terminal closes. So I think that what would be nicer for him to propose would be to have that simulator in the terminal and maybe request the airport and the board to give him additional cameras if he's worried about security or something.
Well, I think, you mean, so if somebody had access to the building to get to the simulator in off hours, then you'd feel comfortable with that. Is that what you're saying, TY?
Yeah, because I mean, off hours, you only have access to the restroom areas of the terminal,
Right.
right? So it doesn't make sense to locate a simulator in the building when maybe some students want to do simulation work after the terminal closes. So I would suggest that he keeps his simulator in his training space. And if he's worried about security or theft, then maybe he can make a request for the building to be secured with additional cameras. And I think that's doable for us.
Well, I agree there. I'm sorry, TY, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think that would be the best option rather than trying to locate something and then making our airport workers responsible for managing that stuff for him.
Well, you know,
I mean, that's the whole point, is we wouldn't be required. And that's why we would have Bill Nelson, you know, write an agreement up of some sorts that says the airport isn't liable for anyone that's on it. But Thor doesn't want it secured. That's Thor's whole point. He wants it to be open. He wants it to be accessible. He wants anybody that walks into this terminal building to see it and be like, oh, that's really cool. How do I use that? What do I have to do? And so that's what he's trying to use to spark interest of people that, you know, haven't like flown at all and things like that, spark interest of being able to use that. And so I mean, that's kind of the whole purpose. He's not worried about the security. I'm worried about the security.
But think about that though. I mean, how many people do come to the terminal? I mean, how many young people come to the terminal? You know, if they know there's a flight school and there's a building dedicated to that, they're more likely to go to that place to look at it. And his students are the ones who are going to be using that. I think that's a flimsy excuse for, you know, visibility and stuff. So he could just, you know, let him keep that stuff in his terminal, in his building, and then make it accessible, open the place up during the day, and then to maybe 8 in the evening where people can access it, and then shut it down after hours, and that's it. So I don't know.
Well, we'd have to have a fairly sophisticated lock that would only open from the off hours to 8 o'clock, because people are gonna need to be, you don't want everybody walking from the foyer through the doors into the terminal. So we don't want to leave that unlocked. I don't
Yeah,
think.
correct. So for like any after hour use, I mean, he would have to let me know that he has after hour students here, just like anybody else that does. I mean, when Art would do flight instruction, he would have flight instruction sometime in the evening. I mean, like when he did his, ground school, that was like in the evening time. So I mean, that is a possibility, but I mean, you're right. They would have to be with an employee of Flight Saga and they, to be in the terminal building. It just
Oh.
couldn't be anybody coming in to use it. You know what I mean? So
That would be acceptable to me.
Yeah.
I just thought you're gonna have some student and come through here.
no,
No,
nope. So
I
anytime you use
recommend
that-
I recommend that if he has it in the terminal building, one of his employers has to be with him, and we have some type of documentation from Bill Nelson that relieves us from liability, and they have full responsibility for, their students and anybody in the building for the after hours. And if something's
Okay.
stolen or damaged, it takes away from the airport.
Okay.
I concur, yeah. I think it's doable. I mean, as long as we think it's a good idea to have it in the building at all. And, I think there's good arguments to put it in the training room. And it would certainly be easier if he left it in the hangar, but,
Maybe we do it for a trial.
yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, try it for,
A year,
6
huh?
months, and if it doesn't work out, ask him to move it. So, I think we could work that out, especially as long as we just didn't have an individual trainee coming in here all by themselves. So he probably wouldn't,
Correct.
but Thor probably wouldn't accept that. So
Mhm.
would be my guess.
I still just think it's an inconvenience. I think, this is a marriage from hell. I mean, it's inconvenient. Why would you buy a simulator and have a huge hangar with all that space and the possibility of students coming there to do some work? Some would be in the air and some might just want to sit around, and you're making them either walk all the way to the terminal to try to use the simulator and maybe walk right back to the hangar if they have to talk or debrief with some kind of instructor. Why not have the thing in the very same space where you're doing the training? I have never seen, a flight school locate an instrument of training in a different area when in fact it's convenient to have it in the same, space. That hangar is large enough to accommodate all kinds of opportunities there. So and that's just my argument. I don't see the sense of having it in a terminal. The argument of, it's going to attract people to flight school is nonsensical. No, how many people come to the hangar really, And then the other idea of just having it in that space is so utilitarian that I think he's just defeating his own process of thinking right there. So anyways, I give up.
No, I think you make a very good point, Ty. An excellent point. I think in the end, I don't think that the exposure of having it here in the terminal is a worthy reason to have it here. I think maybe the issue is, I don't know, the computer equipment, I don't know, in the hangar, but the hangar's good and secure now and heated, so I mean, it should be okay.
Yeah, I think.
And TY is probably.
Oh, go ahead, Greg. Is that you?
I'll just jump. I would say TY is probably right, but I think we should at least give the school a chance. Maybe that brings more people that don't know about the school yet coming in here buying gas, and they see something that's going on, and it brings more curiosity. And then maybe Thor might think, yeah, you're right. It'd be better for me to keep everything together in one spot, and then we have them move it out. But I think we have nothing to lose right now.
And the other thing, I do think that the reason that he said too about the terminal was because he was hoping that other pilots out here would also want to use it. because you're going to be able to build your time on that. Like so we have a lot of like days of visibility, or they couldn't come out and fly like for certain months, or their aircraft is, having maintenance work done or something, they would be able to use a simulator as well. So I think he was more thinking of, it's not just the students that'll be using it. It's like anyone on the airfield could use it, was more of what he was thinking too.
I think-
But
look, the terminal can have documentation to advertise that there's a simulator out there in the training building. And, local pilots in the area or resident pilots can actually go to that building and have fun with him. That would attract students. That gives people opportunity to interact with each other. That gives pilots an opportunity to actually sit on the simulator and exchange ideas with each other. It's a bigger space. With COVID, you need that kind of space and allowance. You don't want a constricted space where I don't know. I don't understand what he's thinking about, but you can make all of that those opportunities available to everyone if you just tell people in the terminal, hey, Jessica, would you advertise this for me? We have a flight simulator. Any resident pilot can come out here and join us and use it and have fun. I don't know.
I definitely agree with you too, TY. I feel like you have very good arguments. I agree. I do.
TY, I agree with you. I'd rather him keep everything over there. It's simplify our lives, especially Jessica. So if Thor would like to come up with a plan, write us a proposal on how he would want this all done, that'd be one thing. But we're just guessing as to what he really wants on that. And like TY says, the proper place is in the hangar, I think. It'd be nice to be if you could just trust anybody and then just have them walk in here, but I'd rather see it in the hangar. I appreciate your thoughts, TY.
So which way are we going with this, Kurt? Jeff mentioned short term, long term, no term. So which way are we going?
I like no term, but you put up, like I said, put a sign up. We could, with something that says, hey, we got a simulator for somebody that would like to see what it's like to.
Would it be available during the day, all the day, every day of the week, if it was his hangar? The terminal building's open 7 days a week.
Well, that's the idea, Greg. The idea is this is a flight school that's supposed to be open 7 days a week.
Well, it's not a flight school yet. It will be a flight school, but it's not one today.
That's the idea. Flight school has tools that they use, and the flight simulator belongs with the flight school in the space they're using. So when he opens it up, that stuff should be right in there. I'll be the first to go there.
I get it, but when does he open it? When's it going to be as hours of operation? I don't even think he knows that, and I don't think he's planning on having hours of operation until later this year.
Well, he's talking about February.
Okay, so he's gonna 5 days a week. What is the schedule? How often is it going to be available?
Well, he could certainly offer something online, his website that would tell you what his hours were going to be and something like that. That could be something that would he could divulge to his students so that they know that this is when you can use the simulator.
Okay, so I guess the question is, in regards to the discussion with the simulator, how is the opportunity? You say the opportunity is going to start in just 3 weeks, where people are going to be able to walk into his hangar and start utilizing a simulator. I kind of think the opposite. I think if it's available in the public terminal building, I think there'll be more opportunity initially until he does set up his flight school. Not that it's gonna, I don't know if it's gonna help or not if it's there for 3 months, but I just, when somebody's trying to get a business off the ground, why don't we ask him, how can we best assist you in getting your business off the ground? That's what we did with Troy and his skydiving. How does he see it fit, and how does it fit what he wants to do? You know, because I don't know how much other businesses he has or how much time he has to put into this initially. That's just my thoughts on it.
Well, the thing is, if nobody's going to be using the simulator except during normal business hours of the terminal, if it's sitting here right now until he gets flight students. So really nothing would happen until 3-4 weeks, whatever he can finally get up and running. So I don't know. I think, you know what, I think you ought to
If
put it
it's
in the
just for
hangar.
flight, if it's for flight students with instruction, then yeah, it belongs in the hangar. But if he's willing to open it up for other pilots to come by and to check it out and to possibly learn how to, get some instrument time, I mean, access is important, I believe. And
Well, yeah.
initially, I don't think there's the access to go over to the hangar initially, in 3 months maybe. So
Well,
I make a motion that we do it short term, and then we'll come back around.
Well, we're not done.
After the airport.
Wait. We're not done with the discussion. So we don't need to hurry a motion. Just let's think through it before we make a motion. I mean, come on, I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, let's process this a little bit more, and then we can make a motion. But right now, we're all hanging, and everybody's suggesting something different. So,
no, TY, that's not true. I agree with you.
so
Kirk
I
said
mean,
that.
so when this guy has bought the simulator, and it's being delivered next week, and he wants a place to have it stored, right? If that's what he wants, Jessica can keep the simulator until he opens his flight school, if that's what he wants. But there is no point locating the simulator in the terminal building long term. That does not make sense. You locate a tool of instruction in the site of instruction, and that's it. That's my argument.
I agree.
hey, make it happen, Jessica.
Okay, no problem. Thanks. Glad you brought it up. No, but no, we all make good arguments. I mean, I agree with all of it. So, but I will reach back out to Thor and, let him know about our discussion and see if, he feels that maybe having it in the hangar would be a better, reason now that we have other arguments for why that's important. So. But yeah, so for short term, I'll let him know, that maybe, that's something that we can do in here until he's up and ready over there, unless he wants to give the board a proposal that really specifically explains why he feels like this is a better fit than the hangar. And then, you guys can make the decision. So does that sound good?
I mean, all of you pilots, when was the last time you sat in a simulator without a mean old instructor sitting behind you punching buttons and making things go to hell in a handbasket? Never, I'll bet. So anyway,
I bet Jeff has just done it recently, Kurt.
yeah, probably, yeah.
Last December.
2 months, was it 2 months ago?
Yeah, last month.
And Jeff, was that located in a terminal or was that in a site?
Off-site.
Oh, there you go. Thank you. Made my point.
Yeah, well.
Well, let's not.
I-
Look, Jeff, why don't we hold up on making a motion right now and have Jessica interact with this gentleman and see what exactly he's thinking. I allow that if he just needs it stored here because it's a delivery and he needs a space to keep it right now, that's fine. But, you know, in the long run, I think he should really think about keeping that stuff with his resources out there in the hangar. And then we can put a big poster right in the terminal saying, you know, resident pilots, if you need instrument or some kind of, you know, simulator training or build time, you know, make contact with the resident flight trainer on site and acquire these things for free, you know, and that would be nice to have a free access to, you know, a certified simulator for time building.
Well, you know, why can't he store the simulator when it comes in the hangar?
I mean, he can. He was gonna set it up in here, so it's like it's
Right.
he's
Yeah,
coming to the house in boxes, and then he was gonna bring it here, and he was gonna set it up. But I mean, the computer part of it doesn't show up until somebody books time on it. You know what I mean? So it's like that's a separate part where it's like the screen. So it's like really you can't really use it or anything until, you know, unless you like book time, and then they actually show up with like the screen and set it up. So I don't think people would just be alone with it. They're comfortable leaving them alone with it, sort of a deal. But yeah, it's not storage of the boxes or anything that he needs because those are going to his house. He was literally it's going to be delivered next week, and then he's going to bring it out to the airport wherever he sets it up. He just requested that he set it up in the terminal building.
Okay, well, in that case, I would say let him set it up in his terminal, in his hangar, and that's it. That would be my final right there. Final answer.
TY, I'm sorry. I thought you say set it up in the terminal and then?
Well, no, in his term, I mean his hangar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought you meant. Oh, yeah.
I thought originally the stuff was being delivered to the airport, you know, to Jessica so that, you know, he would put it right there. But now that it's been delivered to his home, and he should just take everything and locate, and that way we're free of any liability. And you guys, I mean, you know how things are. When things really go wrong, people can really come after you with some kind of legal, you know, repercussions. I mean, that people go crazy, even though you had a verbal agreement, you know. So I would say let the liability be on him. He's renting the space. He's responsible for whatever happens there. He's responsible for students. He's responsible for the tools, the utility, the space, all of the expenses of running the space goes to him. And that's what we're giving to him. Using Greg's argument, we're making a business possible for him. We already gave him opportunities for that. So.
I agree with TY. So I think let's wait till the stuff gets here, and if he has any proposal, I don't think we have anything that we can really act on anyway, and except for the fact he says he wants to set it up here, but you know, I don't know. I think it'll make things an awful lot more complicated around here, and like as TY said, keep everything down there. You know, otherwise, if you have a student that says, hey, I'm having trouble with this or that, then you're going to have someone come down here and watch him screw up. If it's down there at the hangar, everything is there, and we would think an instructor would be there, you know, to address whatever issue that the student has, you know, so.
All righty.
Sounds good.
All right. We'll table that issue and wait for further discussion from Thor.
So also with Flight Saga, we are still working through the insurance requirements with Charlie Keene, who handles all the insurance for the city, and make sure that for like our minimum standards for Flight Saga. So I'll update as soon as it's worked out. Right now, it's just kind of going between the agents, like all the insurance does. They're trying to figure out what they need. They're trying to figure out, how much they need. And so as soon as it's all worked out, I'll let you know. But right now, there is coverage, but it's all over the place right now. So we're working through the insurance coverage. That's my final answer on that.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and that's all my airport manager.
Thank you, Jessica. Airport development, Paul, you still there?
Yes. I'm still here.
You look like you just woke up.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, Paul. How you doing?
Oh, very good. Very good. You all?
I'm doing fine. My pants are pretty tight. I think I've gained about 15 pounds since November, so.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. I gotta start drinking the light beer or something. I don't know.
Okay. I've got my agenda open. Let me look at Jessica's to make sure. Okay. Yeah, so her airport development, the item 1 under the runway project, we really don't have much activity on that this month. We did a lot last month. We do need to satisfy federal register requirements, but to let the FAA know that we'll be using our non-primary entitlement money for fiscal year 2022, which should be self-evident since we submitted a pre-application that was in excess of the entitlement. But this is a requirement to stay grant eligible. So I believe that letter went out with our packet. Have you all seen that letter?
I think it did, yeah.
Hey, Paul, I'm sorry, did we carry over last year's MPE or did we use it? I can't remember.
Let's see. No, I think we used it. I can tell you. Yeah, we used it on, so the 2020, is that that year or 221? So
I don't know. I thought we had carried one over one. I didn't know if it was last year or the year before.
So 2021, you got your $166,000 for basically still some design, finishing up reimbursing you for design fees on the road lowering cut wall, that part of the original $440,000 project. So you got that, and we still have a little bit left in that grant. If I can tell you what the balance is here. Yeah, we still have $19,337.17 because we haven't drawn that all the way down just yet. And then the year before that, we got the land acquisition. The 2020 grant is the land acquisition grant.
Okay.
And then basically, yeah, the only grant that you have any dollars left in right now is AIP 25, which was the 2021 grant. Right, yeah, 21 grant, and it is at that $19,000 balance. But since last meeting, Jessica did work with Controller's Office, and we've gotten drawdowns on your ARPA grant and the Rescue Fund grant, your CRISA grant. So those have been drawn down to 0, and you've received reimbursements on those.
Okay.
So now we're just talking about this letter to use the amount this year. And I'll go ahead and read it so that everybody's aware of what it says in case you don't have it in front of it. It says, Dear Mr. Wyman, so he is your new program manager. He took Kyle's spot, so his name's Joe Wyman. We intend to use our fiscal year 2022 NPE funds in addition to other available funding consistent with the projects noted in our approved CIP plan or capital improvement plan. So thank you for your support in developing our airport. It's Kurt Hunter.
You already signed it, Kurt.
Yeah, I'm anticipating good things.
We have not submitted that to FAA, so if you don't want to approve it, we can discard it.
I'll make a motion. We approve it.
Can we get a second?
I do.
GY seconds. All in favor?
Mr. Bartlett,
Aye.
Mr. Hunter,
Aye.
Mr. Okeson,
Aye.
Mr. Poulin.
Aye.
4 in favor, none opposed.
Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Okay, the next item is the airport maintenance building. We had quite a bit of discussion last meeting on the location. And I sent out a little red line version of what we had discussed, but now I have a newer version. If you guys don't mind, I'll share my screen since everybody's on, and you'll probably be able to see this. Host participant has disabled screen sharing. Okay. Sorry. Hey, Caleb, if you can hear me, would you mind enabling screen share?
What, Trey?
Okay. Oh yeah, yep. Yeah, we've got it now. Okay, so I just have to find.
Jeff, hit the mute button.
Okay. Can you all see that screen now? It might blow it up a little bit.
Yep.
Yep.
So right here is the auto parking. Here's the terminal. Here's the maintenance building, the gazebo over here. So we're talking about the 76 by 67 pole barn, which is what Jessica got quotes on the last time. And then the last version just had basically a gravel apron in front of it going to the parking lot. The last time we discussed it'd be nice to have a access drive and put a double swing gate here, and we'll just move the gazebo down to there. So that's what we did here. We also discussed about putting 2 smaller overhead doors on the back side so that you could get mowers and lighter equipment out and around to the, so we're showing this gravel kind of extending all the way around the building. And then I would assume in a future phase, we could pave that out, or we could put a pavement alternate in it right now if everybody's happy with that. He overlaid it on an aerial too. I had him take the aerial off. That other one, because it gets a little hard to read the text, but in the aerial is real blurry, but he's working on that. This shows you how many trees we have to clear, which really is not very many. Behind the building's pretty clear in relationship to the property line. So there's just this little nub of trees that's coming out off of that. So it should work out pretty well, and it keeps us well outside of all the wet areas, not trying to put this driveway around through here. It keeps this spot open down here for a future bigger, larger hangar if you want to do that in the future. So
Or a fuel farm.
or the fuel farm, or yeah, whatever. So I guess the first, I mean, I don't think I need a formal action, but I know Jessica's very anxious to get some pricing in on this. So if everybody, I would kind of like a consent on this is the location we want to use and this concept. Then we can basically use what Jessica did last time to solicit quotes and kind of tidy that up and go back out and solicit some new quotes for this location.
I think that's a great idea. Not attempting to muddy the works, but bigger is better. And is there any way to extend the building to the south an extra 15 feet or something like that? Is there any?
Like on that end here?
Yes.
Yeah. I guess it all just depends on how much money you got, right? So that's
Yeah, but when you start at that point,
right.
It's
relatively inexpensive square footage at that point, if we're already.
What would be the setback for that off our property line?
So the distance between this corner and the property line is 17 feet. The zoning ordinance has 15 feet. We have to be 15 feet. So we have a whole 2 feet to spare.
Well, that won't get us much, so.
Well, it's 17 feet from perpendicular from the property line to the corner of the building.
Right.
You've got all kinds of room down here, but the only disadvantage.
Yeah, you're getting closer to the property line if you moved it south. I mean.
You get closer to the property line and you get into those trees. I suppose we could slide it forward a little bit more, but right now we had planned on having the face of it in line with the western edge of the existing auto parking.
Mhm. Is it, well, yeah, like I said, if there's any chance to add 5 feet.
Well, isn't that dependent on how much we have so far? I mean, there's a specific allocation, right? So if that allocation is just accounted for just the kind of space we're gonna get and the kind of building we're gonna get, maybe what we should really be doing is just kind of have a consensus and have Jessica ride along and, start sourcing, contracts to see what could be negotiated in terms of building. I agree with this already, just the way it is. I mean, we could shift it a little bit backward to save a little bit of space on that side, but it looks okay the way it is right now.
I do too. I just, if you're planning on building a building for, what are we talking about, 220,000, is that right, or something like that? But if you needed or wanted a little bit extra, at that point, it's not going to be, the extra square footage will be relatively cheap. And we could move that building further to the east. It doesn't have to be in line with that parking lot, I don't think. The edge of the building. I don't know why we stipulated that. We could certainly move it that further east and, but yeah, I think, when you go for bids, ask them, okay, look, if this is basically what it is, if we added 10 feet to this side, to this dimension, what would that cost us?
Right.
It may be very inexpensive,
Yeah, the way we would normally do that, and I think can be an option here, is you want to make sure everybody's quoting, and we believe these quotes should be under $150,000 for the building itself, and that's a requirement if we're going to do quotes. If we get a project that's more than 150, then we'll have to do bids, sealed bid proposals, and then that requires the bonding and like the bid bond and all of the extra requirements that are required for a public works bidding project. So we are trying to keep this, a little bit less formal project so that, a pole barn builder wouldn't be scared away from it to where only a commercial builder could really do the project. So if we kept it under the 150 and then we selected, the low quoter, it's not uncommon. You can adjust it. You basically award based on the low quote. And then when you actually award as long as you're not changing the unit pricing that you've solicited in the quote, by assumption, then the low quoter should be the low quoter, even if you add 200 square feet to the building. Then we can possibly tweak the footprint of the building slightly at that time to maximize your budget.
Another thing about the new building that's come up is what about water and sewer? Are we going to plan for that in the building? I think we ought to at least stub it in, I mean, you want an eye wash station in there. I guess you could probably find an eye wash station that's battery run or something, but but we should have water over there for absolute minimum.
Kirk, isn't that a given though? I mean, the old building had some sort of, utility water process or something. So that's a
We don't have
given.
water. We don't have water at the other building, which is why we definitely need it at the new one.
Okay, so how did you get water in there? Through those,
We didn't. We don't have water in there.
do you have a hose that goes close there or something?
We have a hose like that's on the side of the outside the building.
Okay.
There's no water like faucets or like no washing of equipment or anything in there. There's never been that. We've never had water run to it.
Okay, so for this building, you would like that definitely, right?
No, correct. I agree with Kirk. I mean, at least water. I mean, sewer, I don't know if, you're washing, vehicles inside there or something, if you need that in order for the wash water to go somewhere. I don't really know the rules on all that. But definitely we need water for sure. That would be very helpful.
Just run it into that swamp back there.
Well, yeah, so if you're washing equipment inside the building, the floor drains have to be connected to the sanitary sewer, and then you need an oil water separator. The utilities you guys are starting to talk about are going to cost more than your pole barn. I'm just, so we'll just have to put those in as options, and we can pick and choose them. I mean, at a bare minimum, I think you're going to need electricity and you're going to need heat. If you want to add water and sewer at later times, then maybe we make those bid options. Yeah.
Yeah, we should, you stub it in, and then when it comes, everything is in. You don't have to break up concrete, and it's all there. All you do is hook it up.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I mean, the unfortunate part is the budget was established kind of before this hyperinflation, I'll call it. So
right.
We'll see, how far it could go. But I think for today, what I've heard is this is a good location, and then we can work with Jessica to solicit some quote proposals and bring those quote proposals to the board when we get them in.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we don't need any board action then. Just, would you like us to approve the basic plan for Jessica to go get bids on?
Yeah, I think as chair, you can approve that. I mean, she just gets the bid, and then the next time around we can, whatever.
Okay, do I have a motion to proceed with the design as we have it for bid?
I make the motion that we proceed with the design as is.
I second it.
All in favor? You're muted, Jessica.
Mr. Bartlett,
Aye.
Mr. Hunter,
Aye.
Mr. Okeson,
Aye.
Mr. Poulin,
Aye.
4 in favor, none opposed.
Motion carries.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, hopefully this next piece that we're going to talk about on this, is it on Jessica's agenda too? Let's see. Do you have the bipartisan? Let me pull yours back up here.
Yeah.
Got it on there. Okay. So this bipartisan infrastructure bill is, it's really quite convoluted at this point in time. What we know is that it passed, and what we know is that it's $3.89 billion annually for 5 years. And there's a number of ways they could have passed it out. The way they chose to pass it out is based off of a formula that has to do with your asset category. The asset category was a study conducted ironically, 5 years ago. And at that time, they said it'd have absolutely no impact on funding. Guess what? It has impact on funding today. So your category, you are not the smallest category in the asset study. That would be a basic airport. But you are the next airport up, which the basics get 110, and you get the general aviation local airport, it gets the $159,000. So what we know is that that the Enabling Act that was passed should give you $159,000 for the next 5 years. Now, what we also know that the FAA intends to write these as separate grants, and they're not operational grants like the previous stimulus. They're to be used for capital. But they don't necessarily have to be used for your highest priority entitlement project. So your $166,000 entitlement and discretionary funds and so forth like that are going towards the runway. This 159 could be a brand new project based on what we're hearing. There also, there's speculation that they'll allow a roll. So you could roll that all up and use it at the end for one big project at the end. But then there's also a risk to that. And some are saying, particularly in the first year, you should take it because each year, so the bill passed as an enabling act. And then just like a normal AIP, when the normal AIP enabling act passes each year, they have to have an appropriation bill. So Congress has to basically pass two bills this year for that 159 to happen. The first one has already been done, and that was basically the budget for the next 5 years establishing the budget for the next 5 years on that money. Now they have to pass, which hasn't happened yet, the actual appropriations bill. That appropriations bill has to be passed each year for the next 5 years in order for that 159 to be delivered. So right now, we don't know exactly what the money can be used for. They're saying it could be used for revenue generation projects, which would be good news because we need to replace a fuel farm at your airport. You could potentially, use this towards the maintenance building project on a future water sewer application or something like that. If you want to pave the parking lots or something like that, you could potentially use these funds for that. You could potentially use it on terminal improvements and things to that nature. That normal AIP would not be. It's not that it's not eligible under normal AIP. It's that it's a very low priority, and all those revenue producing facilities come with a 3-year penalty in discretionary funds. So generally, airports don't use those funds for that because everybody wants to try to get more than their $166,000 per year. But these. Go ahead.
Paul, you're saying we could use that money to build a new maintenance hangar?
Theoretically, I don't think that would be enough to build a new maintenance hangar. But yes, you could put it towards a new maintenance hangar, or you could put the money towards your equipment building that you're building now, or a fuel farm. I think it would go a long way towards a new fuel system for the airport. So, there's some options right now. This is more of an FYI report on this, and you don't need any action. They can't even tell us what we need to do to apply for the money yet. It's going to be a separate application process. Of course, the FAA is talking about hiring additional people to administer this, which I assume they'll never fire or get rid of. So we'll be stuck with those for all eternity, even after this bill expires. But that's the way these things go. So, good news, right? That this money's available and you'll be able to use it for a project.
Paul,
Go ahead.
So this is an annual grant or something?
Yep, it's annual for the next 5 years.
So, okay, so that's 149 times 5.
150.
159 times 5. Uh-huh.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. Which really funds a fuel system quite nicely. So we just did is a slightly larger than you may be interested. I don't know. It was a 15,000 gallon Jet A, basically pre-engineered, prepackaged system delivered to the site. We're doing that at North Vernon. The prepackaged system with wasn't top of the line, but it had a lot of bells and whistles on it. It was 233 delivered, and then there was another 60,000 ish in sight. So let's just call it 300,000 for a 15,000 gallon Jet A. You might save 15, 20,000 if you went to 10,000 gallon system. But if you're going to do Jet A and avgas, you double that, so you're 600,000 plus you need some money to remove your old tanks. So I would budget 60 to 100,000 for that. So that fuel system project's probably knocking on the door of 700,000. This happens to match that quite nicely. The only problem is if you have to claim it every year, you have to figure out some way to cash flow that.
Well, it would seem, yeah, and the thing is, I think from your earlier statements, Paul, you kind of want to get it started rather than, because once you get it started, there's probably a greater chance that the FAA will continue the funding of something. I mean, as opposed, but if you just say, well, we're just going to roll it over for 3 years, something happens, and they just say, you're not going to get any of the money. I don't know if that's the way it works, but.
Well, I think if you get it started, I think what they're saying is if people are suggesting not to roll in the first year, because if that appropriation bill doesn't happen the next year, you may not get any more.
Right.
I'm not sure if you take your 159 and you've committed to a $700,000 project. I'm not sure that's going to weigh out heavy on their minds when they go to appropriate it next year. I mean, just being honest with you, it's a bunch, $3.8 billion. Your project is not going to show up on the radar for the most part.
Okay.
And our fuel right now, our under load is 10,000 gallons and our Jet A is 12,000 underground. So just so we have an idea of what we have now. And we definitely would want to go up on avgas from the 10,000, because when you get a full load of avgas, I can barely even get a full load of avgas without wiping my tank totally dry. Because you have 10% in there. And so it's just so much better pricing to get a full load than like partial loads, and partial loads are a lot harder. So Jet A, the 12,000 does real good for us. But definitely avgas, I would really hope that we could at least go up to a 12,000 for that.
Thank you, Jessica. Yeah.
And you don't have to do a fuel system. That's what popped into my mind when I saw this money for your airport, and that fuel system's been hanging out there. But there's always so many needs on this, and the $3.8 billion I think would have served the system better if it just got thrown into normal AIP as discretionary money, because ultimately that would have helped out your overall goals much better. Because then if you had a runway project that ranked high and needed, say, $25 million in discretionary money, that would be more likely, if they had put it in discretionary, to be used on already planned projects. What's going to happen now is the airports that didn't necessarily have a project in the works, or it wasn't mission critical, they're going to get this money, and they're going to do projects. That is not to say that they're not important projects, but they're not projects that would have raised to the top of the list had they didn't have this money. So
yeah.
But
Well, Do we need to approve the acceptance of that 159,000, Paul?
No, they haven't even, I mean, it's been announced and there's a website that you can go on there and look at what all the different airports got. Most general aviation's got this 159. There's some larger ones like Elkhart got 295 because they're a national considered airport, that kind of stuff. But there's different levels. You know, I think Gary ended up at 860,000 or something like that because of they have the Customs and Border Patrol facility there, international arrivals capability kind of thing. So anyway, the formula is the formula, and it's pretty cut and dry on how it's cut out. So there's not really going to be any shifting of those dollars. They made that announcement, but there's no action to be had just yet because there's no mechanism to actually claim it or process. I suspect they'll ask us to do another update to the CIP or some kind of 5-year plan on what you're going to use your 159 for the next 5 years on before they let us move forward.
Okay. Well, thank you, Paul. We ready to move on? How about claims? Did anybody get a chance to look at the claims docket?
Yeah.
I don't see anything unusual on it. Oops.
Just got to sign it, right?
I'll make a motion, we approve it, $9,117.34.
Can I get a second?
Second.
I second it.
Let Jeff do.
All in favor?
Mr. Bartlett,
All right.
Mr. Hunter,
Aye.
Mr. Okeson,
Aye.
Mr. Poulin.
Aye.
Motion carries.
None opposed.
Okay, everybody, if you get a chance, come in and sign the claims docket. So, all right. Correspondence. Jessica, we got anything?
None.
She don't call, she don't write. Okay, fine. Public comment. Gene? No.
No, no comment.
Well, can I get a motion to adjourn if we have no further business?
I have
I'll make a motion.
hold on. I just want to table something and I need for all of us to be aware of this. So I am not opposed to Kirk continuing as president, but Greg, I am not happy with what you did. And I want everybody to know that last year, we all agreed and we had it documented that we're going to have what we call a transitional process in the presidency. So, but I'd like for you, Greg, to know that your reason for Kirk continuing as president is not substantive, it's not substantial. So if you were to create a very different but philosophical and more seasoned reason, it would have been to ask me, who is supposed to be the person to be taken over as president this time around, to accede to a general consensus that because we didn't have a number of meetings last year, that we let Kirk continue as president. So I just want you to know that this is just not how we're supposed to be ethically processing governance or leadership in any kind of organization. It doesn't make sense what you did, but I respect Kirk continuing as president for another year. And last year we agreed that I would take over and then Jeff would be the next person. and then it would roll over to the next person and so on. That was what we agreed on. For this sudden quick move, to just throw that out of the window is really not a good idea. And I don't think we should be doing that, as an organization. I think we've worked together really well as a team, and I think we should respect each other that way. That's all I wanted to say. But I respect the vote, and I respect that Kirk continues. He's done a fantastic job, and I love what he's doing and the way he's doing it. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate the words, TY, and they're so noted. And I appreciate the kind words.
Motion to adjourn.
I think we have a second, did we not?
I second.
I second. Give it to TY.
All in favor?
Mr. Bartlett,
Aye.
Mr. Hunter,
Aye.
Mr. Okeson,
Aye.
Mr. Poulin.
Aye.
4 in favor, none opposed.
Motion carries. We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Gene. Thank
Bye,
you,
everyone.
Paul.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Everyone.